Hi, I'm Divya.
Hi, I'm Karan. And this is
Thinking
On Thinking.
Welcome to this episode of Thinking on Thinking. Today I talk to Shikhant and Shivi, who are really amazingly creative people. Shikhant is my old-time friend from Delhi, like more than a decade ago. They're both really interesting people and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hey guys, I'm Shikhant Sablania. I'm an artist, comics maker, writer, and travel enthusiast. I make a lot of different things. I have a small studio called Churma where we do comics, animation, and design. On the side, I also make my own webcomics called African Caravan, which is based on this journey we did across Africa for 8 months.
Hi, I'm Shivi Bhatnagar. I am a cinematographer by profession. I've been involved in a lot of video productions. One documentary specifically being The Great African Caravan, a project that has been a very important project in my life, both in terms of career and also for my personal self.
How did you get in touch with this kind of an NGO? Because like this also, even from an NGO stuff, like this feels very niche to teach kids filmmaking, like kids in underprivileged communities and teaching them how to do filmmaking and telling their own stories. That's like such a niche thing.
Yeah, someone had referred my reference to this NGO, whom they already might have known each other. So they referred me, they were looking out for some female to do a filmmaking workshop, for also to children understand that female can also do something like this. And a majority of them were also girls. In their teenage and like they're maybe in their 10th, 11th class. So for them also to understand, that there are female in this field. It's not just men who are there. So it was very important for them to have a female coming to take this workshop. So someone knew, so they referred me to this NGO. And when we met, I told them, like they already showed me all their videos that they were doing. They were asking if I can like make their videos like level up a bit or teach them how they can level up their videos basically. So that's how I came in touch with them, because these days phone is like a very major equipment to shoot videos. So they have these iPhones with them. So the NGO provides them, like I think they have 2 iPhones with which they shoot their videos. And then they have like free software. Even I didn't knew about that software. So I was telling Shikhant, like on the day when I was going to take the workshop of editing, in the auto rickshaw, I was actually looking out videos, like, about this software, what it is all about, because I know how to edit, but not on that particular software. So I need to know where should I click to get that kind of tool, or what should I press for a shortcut to get that tool. So I did my homework before going to that workshop. And then they were then I told them about the editing, and also they edit on a free software, which is actually quite good for a YouTube sort of a setup. And they shoot with iPhones, and sometimes they also shoot with their own phones that they have at home. So they do that as well.
Yeah, one of my friends who ran this workshop for like kids, they did like an imagination design kind of workshop where like, you give kids some scenario and they have to imagine, okay, what would be the clothes and what would be the buildings and like, just different things. And she was like, it's so interesting as a millennial taking workshop with like younger people, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha definitely feel like they are creative. Like it's not a separate thing. For us, we had to fight with our parents, fight with society. We have to be like, I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna be a creative person. Here kids are like, of course, I have a camera, I make reels, so of course I'm creative.
Right.
Yeah.
In our time, we used to draw mostly, I feel, When you're creative, you cover your notebooks with some, doodles and, you'll, like I remember in my science, there used to be this lab notebook. So I would cover that with, drawings of diagrams of my notebook's the coolest. So I'll get extra marks. But then I got, no, it's not about drawing. It's actually doing science.
You could have done a business, man. You could have like commissioned, like you got another kids to commission you to make their notebooks beautiful also.
I was not that intelligent when I was growing up, I guess, business-wise.
you also did some comic making workshop with some kids in Delhi, right?
Yeah.
This was a long time back. Was that also like underprivileged kids?
I used to do some workshops and also be like a guest teacher with Teach for India. I used to teach in
Oh,
some of the schools, comics making sometimes, and then graphic design. Practically speaking, most of the kids want to know something that they can use in real life and get a job, right? So
hmm.
I would teach them how to draw. Then I would also show them films sometimes, animation films and this and that. And I would also sometimes take them out to do live sketching and all. But that was like for a few years I did. But yeah, it's tough to do workshops with kids, and it's a lot of responsibility, especially for the kids who are coming from
Hmm.
a certain background and the kind of problems they have in their houses. And very major problem is, especially let's say for example when you're working in government schools, is non-repetition. So attendance is a big problem because sometimes somebody's, oh, my father's scooter broke down, or my father cannot come and drop me to the school, or there's no money to
Oh,
come to
wow.
school, so I couldn't come. So there'll be like somebody, let's say person A came to class first class, and then after your third session, then they can come for the fourth session. So there's a gap in between what they learn.
Hmm.
So those are kind of challenges that you know people face. I think, I mean, I did it as a as a volunteer, just as an extra teacher. I mean, hats off to the teachers who teach in those schools, and the kind of consistency and the kind of passion they have for teaching is also something that is
Hmm.
needed.
By the way, you don't need to be so
No,
serious.
no, I'm not serious. I'm just thinking. I just went back to my
You're thinking about those
those time,
moments.
yeah. And always in that class, there'll be two or three kids who will be genius. Who'll be like really crazy, doing something totally offbeat, and then you really feel that I should do
Hmm.
something. I should
For
like, yeah,
this.
for this kid, and I should just really teach them how to do something different. So I would try to do these kind of things, but then of course my time there was limited. I did whatever I
Yeah.
could, but yeah.
Like now that my friends have started having children, I can see it that like this idea of can you control this person's life? No, not at all. Are you still gonna feel responsible for them every step of the way? Yes, you will.
Right,
It's
that's
like,
true.
hmm.
It's tough.
We went from a tangent, but like maybe we can get started on the main thing.
Hmm.
Maybe you guys can talk a little bit
Yes.
about how you guys met, and I'll not even give any preface to this. So, like, both of you tell how you guys met.
Okay. We met in Africa, in South Africa, actually. I knew about Shivi beforehand because we were part of this team called Great African Caravan, this project which we were supposed to do in Africa. So we made a team. We planned for it for months. So what we actually intended to do, what we did, was to travel from South Africa, Cape Town, to Cairo, Egypt. So we sort of met along the way. We actually knew each other online because we had a lot of meetings and stuff, and we were planning for this project. But yeah, we met in South Africa in Cape Town when we were living there. So before we started the journey, we traveled 8 months across the eastern coast of Africa. So when we started the project, we were living in South Africa for a month or so, where we were sort of planning and strategizing about certain, practicalities of doing such a journey. So that's where
Do you also want to talk about like what the Great African Caravan was?
maybe Shivi, why don't you
Okay.
take that?
Okay. So we were part of this project called the Great African Caravan, which consisted of around like 12 artists. Because it was a caravan, so like a lot of artists joined us even later in the journey, and few left. So it was like always mixed somewhere. Sometimes it was 10 artists, sometime it was 12. We all belonged to different art backgrounds. Like I was a filmmaker, Shikhant is an artist, a comic maker, painter. We also had a lot of musicians, which were playing instrument, a singer, poet, theater artist. So it was like a totally a mix of like different backgrounds. And we were also like from different continents. So someone was from London, Uganda, India, Argentina. So we were like from different, and we were traveling across these 10 countries in Africa. And the aim was to collaborate with local artists to make art and talk about how art is beyond borders and how we all collaborate with each other and talk about something which is important to a local that they want to talk about, an issue or anything that they want to talk about, and make art on it and let people see that art. So each country that we went to, we collaborated. Mostly we collaborated with like underprivileged places within that country. We used to go there if there is a singer, so the singer would collaborate with the musician. Wall graffiti artist would collaborate with Shikhant to make something about that issue, and it will be like a process for like a week. And at the end of the week, we'll do like a showcase for everyone in that locality to come and watch that program. That is all that we did for 8 months.
That is not all, like that is not small amounts. That's like a lot.
Yeah. And then like the other part of the journey was where we didn't had funds to do that journey. So we were crowdfunding throughout our journey. A lot of people helped us, and with food, with fuel, we had 3 Mahindra cars. That was the only thing that we had with us. But apart from that, it was all like sourced from performing here and there, and then getting money in, and then moving somewhere else. So it was like a crunch of a lot of fun. So because we were traveling on the road, we did a lot of camping. We slept wherever we could. We ate whatever we could. Not eat
Oh my
even
God.
if that is also sometimes. But yeah, it was a journey that I think all of us who were there in that project would not forget for a lifetime. Like it was a very life-changing sort
I
of
mean, for
like.
both of you, I think
Right.
you guys can't forget anyways. You're like, yeah, now we're together.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, so that's how we met in that project.
Yeah.
Life and death situation for 8 months.
Not always, but yeah,
Not always,
sometimes.
but yeah, sometimes. Yeah. It did feel like,
I don't want to
okay,
paint a picture for people that we were really
mad.
dying every day, and we were just really
No,
crawling our way through.
you were
Yeah.
also painting and you were also singing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And chilling with local Africans who are really cool by the way.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing, right? Like a lot of people, especially in, I would say, middle class and upwards, like communities, they think ki you should only make art if you have a secure job. Like art should be your side hustle, art should be the side thing. So it's like really interesting to like hear you guys be like, "Arey, nahi, that was the main thing that we were doing," and like that's what's happening.
Exactly. And when we were also traveling, people used to ask, oh, but why are you doing this? Oh, acha, and especially in India, like, why are you going to Africa? Because nobody goes to Africa, right? From India, everybody wants to go to America,
Yeah.
Europe. You want to see all this,
Europe.
Europe and do all this, arty things in, Western Europe and do all these cool stuff. So we were like, yeah, but why not? I mean, it's so close to us. I mean, literally one sea away, but we know very little about that place, and there are a lot of these preconceived notions also that we have. So plus, yeah, so we wanted to explore that and start our, sort of artistic project in Africa and then see how it goes. But yeah, it was tough, but it was, I think, worth the pain.
Did you guys end up working together? Like the two of you, did you end up working together?
During the project?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, yes. Actually, initially, what used to happen was because Shivi was documenting, like she was filming, she was the camera person, main camera person. There was another person, Satya, who was doing mostly direction. He also used to shoot, but mostly, let's say, for example, in South Africa, when I was doing all the collaborations in the space of making graffiti or street art with the kids and all, so Shivi was documenting the whole thing, and then we made like a small video out of it. She was doing a lot of video collaborations with other people who are making music and all. But two of us, I think we started mostly in the second half of the journey when we sort of also understood each other's method of working.
Yeah, like I used to like work like I was shooting almost everything. So I used to be here and there everywhere. So I used to like work with Shikhant also. Like we used to spend like the whole days like traveling together to that township, and then while he's collaborating, I used to shoot all of it, and then while he's painting, so like we used to be there. Like I used to like shoot for a long time with him, and I used to shoot with others as well. But I think in South Africa, I did shoot with him a lot. And I think that's how like we started gelling up also, because no other option. This is my teammate. What
Make
to
do
do.
with this.
Let's talk.
I like that now you guys have
Yeah.
already started making old couple jokes. I'm like, oh yeah, you were there. I had to make do with you.
Exactly. But yeah, but another thing which I want to point out is Shivi was always busy. She was more busy because she has to shoot everybody's projects and everything.
Yeah.
And so imagine this. So this is how a day would look like for us. We would start really early in the morning, let's say at 5 a.m. Everybody would be really tired from the last day's work, of course.
Yeah.
So we all have to sort of wake each other up, by different methods. Uh, and then we'll pack our camps. Even in certain places where we were staying in the city, we were probably camping in somebody's backyard or these kind of very odd places. Once we were sort of sleeping in a radio station in Sudan, by the way, so things like that. So we will have to clean up and do all of that in the morning first thing. Then we would clean the cars, put fuel and everything in case like that day we are traveling. So we would have to really clean the cars, do everything, prep for the day's drive, and we'll start driving at let's say by 7ish. And the aim is to drive to a particular location which we have targeted for that day by 4 to 5 p.m. because then the sun will set and you have to camp before the sun sets, right? So you have to clean the place, do whatever, make the preparations, make a fire, do all of that. So like after driving for whatever 6-7 hours, then you're camping again, sleeping on the ground. That night you probably have to plan for the next day's visit to some place where you'll have to do some collaboration. So you have to use your mind, thinking of some creative idea. Like I have to sit and make some sketches for the comics workshop that I might have to do, or for the painting that I might have to make with some people. So I would have to meet them, do all of that. So that's how it used to be. So she would be hopping from one car to the other. So we were driving 3 cars, right? So we would stop. She would go from one car, record some stuff, then sit on top of another car to record the other car. So she would do all of these things. So we had this car where you have those, it was a pickup truck kind of a thing. So it has like an empty area at the back, which was covered. So she would sit on top of it. We also tied her up one time with a rope or something so that she doesn't fall. And then she's shooting the other cars on the road. And it was like that. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Like there were a couple of times that even I was also excited, oh, like this place looks good and the cars will look good. So let me just get back on it. And I remember like Satya used to be the one who would be driving because I used to just trust him because he used to be like the very best driver of the whole whole lot. So I used to be like, okay, you drive, I'll sit on the back. And then I used to take a lot of shots, like hanging out and then taking some shots. But it turned out to be good.
Okay, so this is the first time I'm hearing about this, and like meeting you, you seem way more chilled out than like sitting on top of a moving car and shooting because the shot might be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my adrenaline points. Even when like someone is shooting from the front, I would be like, okay, let me just press on the GoPro and then duck so that I'll just get like a nice shot of maybe in the documentary I'll put somewhere.
Every single time I hear you guys talk about the African stuff, the first time Shikhant came back and he was telling us stories, and I was like, so I know you are alive because you're sitting right here, but this is still too thrilling for my heart. How did you live in it?
Yeah, that's true. It's actually now thinking about it, sometimes we also think, how did we do it? Because I don't think it makes any sense for any logical person to do these kind of stupid things. But somehow we manage. Maybe when we'll get old, we'll blame it on our youth. Yeah, we were stupid, I don't know what we were doing.
We were young and stupid, making these stupid
maybe
decisions.
We need to make few more stupid decisions, and then we would come to that.
Wow, different kinds of stupid decisions.
Different kinds, yes.
So do you guys like now actively collaborate together?
So like we do collaborate on projects, and it's like mostly like whenever Shikhant has a project in his studio, so we do collaborate on those projects. So currently also we are working on a project where I am mostly doing all the shoot and the edit, and Shikhant is doing all the pre-production work, making the backgrounds. It's a stop motion animation. He's doing all the background design, and also as a director, he's working as a director, I can say. So yeah, we do collaborate on projects.
How do you manage that? So like with this season, that's what we have been like asking people. How do you have multiple relationships and like, also collaborate as working people? So like I interviewed a couple, I interviewed a sibling pair. So like similarly, you guys are also, like you are partners. And then I would say like director and editor might have the most creative conflict between each other, right? Because it's like both have strong point of view. Editor is thinking, okay, I shot this, I know what it's supposed to be, but then director can be like, oh, but I know what it is supposed to be from this particular angle. Like, how do you deal with that? Especially like when people are good at what they do, that becomes like even more of a touchy point.
What else can you do? You fight over it, and then after 2 days, you're like, why did we fight over it? And then you just make a coffee and sit in the balcony and just think about, yeah, actually, what you were saying was actually correct. I think you should do that. And then you just move on with your life. That's it. No other solution.
Okay, so Shikhant, like, agrees after 2 days that he's wrong. What do you do, Shivi?
I mostly like try telling him, okay, like mostly what we both do is like as you said that we both have like strong points of views and we both fight on it. And then I guess after like yeah, actually like maybe the next day we sleep over it and then we realize okay, let's like take something of this and or okay, like if it is like okay, like you were correct because at that point of time you're like so with your thought and the idea that you have that you don't let it go and you just keep running after that. So once that is all like after that whole thing, once you tell each other things, after that once you sleep off it, I think the next day you just think more clearly and then you come to a point where you're like okay, yeah, this is fine. And sometimes it's very even more quicker also, like sometimes it's like you feel like what the other person is saying is actually correct, so there's no need of a fight also. You're like yeah okay theek hai, like yes theek hai, you're saying it what it is, so yeah, let's go with it. So it's both ways. Sometimes you have to fight for it, sometimes you just understand that yeah, it's the need of that hour and you just go with that decision.
Two things I want to add to this. One is sometimes it happens, and oftentimes it happens mostly in our projects, is we would think of some idea that we would have thought while we are scripting. And I would randomly come one day, but Shiri, I think we can do it this way because I think it will be better. And, we can make it slightly more, slightly improve this. Maybe we can change this color. And I think I should have thought about it when I was scripting, but I think now that I've seen it, I think we can do this change. So once that happens, then it's Shivi's like, but script mein ye likha hai, so let's just do what is written.
Because now I've already shot it. Now you're telling, after seeing it, you're telling me that you'll change it. I spent like a week shooting it. Now you're telling me, oh, you don't want that color.
Yeah. So my one tip is to write everything beforehand.
No, write and think.
Pre-plan.
Think
Too much
more
pre-plan.
before you write.
And think more.
Like preempt it.
Yeah. And also, I think another thing is that we have to, and especially people who are collaborating, creative people who are also have other relationships in life. After making this video, you have to go back and cook food together, So, and you don't want the other person to put poison in your food. So then you have to be a little more, chill about things. You have to be okay with conflicts and you have to take it lightly. Don't take it too seriously. All of these work-related conflicts that happen and just leave it when the studio door closes. You leave all of that conflict in the studio and then you move on to your other part of life. So that is something, of course, it's difficult, but it's possible. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah. And mostly what happens is we both are fighting, like whatever the vision that we both have is to make that particular piece of work in a more to make it more better is what we are envisioning. The methods might be different. That's what we both telling each other. But the ultimate thing is to make it better. And I think like after a time, and because we have been collaborating like a lot before, so I think at a point we do say, okay, this is fine, like let it go, and like this decision is fine, and let's not do this way, let's do this way.
So why I asked that question, especially in this season, is because I work a lot with people who are close to me. Like I work with my sister, I work with my brother, and we've been like collaborating for years. And oftentimes when I tell it to people, their reaction is, oh, I can't work with somebody who's that close to me. How would I deal with that situation if we have conflict? The same thing that Shikhant, you said, you don't want the person to poison your food when you're going back. So like, how do you make sure? So like, and then I looked around and I was like, no, there are a lot of people around me who are doing interesting things with people who matter to them in their life.
Yeah. Actually, if you look at it, mostly that's how the world works, right? Before Industrial Revolution. Go back to 150 years, right? Somebody who's making boat, their whole family is making boats. Somebody who's making shoes, their whole family is making shoes. If you're a farmer, your whole family is involved in it. So even now, just because we are in this space where people have positions and you have these structural, hierarchical systems where somebody's a boss, somebody's a manager, then somebody's an intern, all of these things. But before this structure became what it is, everything was done through help, and resources were your neighborhood, right? So it's just that we live in this false system that we think that this is the correct way of doing, but actually working with your friends and your family and doing these kind of things is what naturally humans have always been doing. No tribe from Central Asia is sending one person to work in, South India with some boat maker as an intern. Nobody is doing that now. Somebody who's in Central Asia is milking cows and doing wheat farming, and with their own tribe and with their own local people. So that's how it always has been. I don't know. People get surprised by things which are really non-existent. So
True.
I think this is problem of today's system. No? We have made also the education system that sort of creates these kind of,
or which are normal.
And I think like collaborating with your own, like a person who is dear to you also, because you have like strong personalities as a creative person, but like I think collaboration sort of also makes you shed away those kind of, that person, how that person is, so you can just straight away tell that person whatever is going in your mind. You don't have to have like a curtain that you have to like shy away, because that person, you're frank with that person, so you can just be open to that person, rather than like if a person you're not known to, it becomes also like sometimes if you have some thought in your mind, you really can't be true to that person. So I think that kind of thing sort of sheds away when you are with a person who is very dear to you.
Very true. At least in my experience, working with people who are my close friends or like, my family, it also makes me see a different side of them, which feels so precious, because it's like, oh, I see you in 100% full force of who you are without like, in our relational context, because it's like, oh, you are not my sister. You are like this force of nature right now. And like that also feels really quite incredible.
Right. Yeah, that's also true. Like, for example, I know there are two Shivis. One Shivi is that home Shivi, which is like, yeah, we should do this, all nice. Life is beautiful. Smell the flowers. Nice. Beautiful. Butterflies. Let's drink coffee and look at the clouds. Amazing. And then there's another Shivi which is on shoot. Oh, where's the light? Where's the camera? What is the tripod? What is nothing's happening? What are you doing? This is crazy. So then you get to see both of that, and amazing.
Yeah. But also one more thing, adding to the point where, collaborating with someone, I think there's also that thing, like if you're working with a lot of your people in terms of who are close to you, everyone has their own highs and lows in terms of creativity, like in strengths, you can say, like strength of someone and the other will have like a different strength. So I think like in that kind of situations, you already know that who is going to push that boat further, and then you sort of follow their lead as well. So that is also one thing that you sort of understand between both. Like even I understand between both that, okay, like I know that these kind of things, I can't take decisions, or I know that's not my strength. So that's where like Shikhant comes in place, because I know he can take those. And that's how I think Shikhant also, he knows that what are my strengths, so he let those things, on me. So that is also one thing, each other's strength. And
yeah, like the base level of trust is just so high. Although in you guys' case, I guess like the trust came before and then you guys got together.
Yeah, also.
Because I think like all the other people we have talked to, you guys are unique in that sense. That like you guys started working together first, and then you guys like, became friends, and then you guys like, got together as partnership.
I'll tell you this incident, okay, now that we have, also because we spoke about Africa and we are talking about video shoot and all of these things. We were driving in Ethiopia and it was middle of the night. We don't usually drive in the night. We used to drive only in the daytime, right? Of course, I mean, safety and everything else. But it was an emergency situation. Our visas were getting expired. We had to leave the country, etc., etc. So we were driving and it was pitch dark. And I was driving a car there was some part which was broken. So it was not driving in its full capacity. So it could drive only at like 30, 40 kilometers per hour, something like that. So I'm slowly driving that car, Shivi sitting on my side. Two of our friends who are sleeping in the back. So Ethiopia is the highest country in Africa, all hills and everything, very cold. So we're driving, it's really cold at night, no street lights, only the lights of our car. And I take a turn, and suddenly I see in the corner there are these two people in camouflage uniforms hiding behind the tree as if, preparing for some kind of a shoot down. And then they start firing in front of our cars. And I suddenly put a brake and I'm panicking. Of course, I mean, there's like people are firing in front of you. And I look at Shivi and I'm thinking, okay, I will, Shivi, duck, and I'm just telling her to, hide herself. And I'm slowly trying to reverse the car. And I see Shivi's like, 1 second, let me switch on the GoPro.
Wow.
That's us.
And then
Sometimes my adrenaline kicks in.
and she's like, GoPro on. And I'm like, and it is not turning on. So while this is happening, you're like, GoPro day on, or and all of this happening. And then, it doesn't have battery. I'm like, shut up, just hide yourself.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
not this is not a movie. This is real life. Let's
Yeah.
So, but we survived, yes. So we,
Yeah, I mean,
of course,
5 years
survived.
later we are
We
talking,
are real
but
people.
yes.
Yes, we are not ghosts. So yeah,
Yeah, the first time
things
also
like
I
that.
heard that story.
So
there
that day
was-
I knew whenever I have to make a film, I need a camera person like Shivi.
Oh man,
Strengths. Talking about strengths.
wow. Yeah, yeah, that's a strong story. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys are alive. That's how I feel about the entire African trip. Even when you were going, that's how I felt. I was like, well, I really like you. It would be sad if you were no longer alive. But yeah,
Yeah,
you came back with good memories and good friends. So there is that.
good memories. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
What are you guys up to now? You've done these crazy things. You are making some movies, Shivi and Shikhant. You are doing comic stuff and animation stuff and design stuff. But like, what are you guys sort of like maybe creatively looking forward to in the next few years?
First thing is I have to finish my comics, which I'm writing about this African caravan. So I have to finish that, which is a huge 1 ton concrete on my chest, which I've let go of. So I have to finish that. That's one thing. Now that we have a small studio and we do all these fun projects, the idea is to sort of build it and do more creative stuff, which involves a lot of collaboration. So like we really like doing experimental stuff, like we do different kind of projects. So I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of mixed media stuff in the space of animation, comics, storytelling mostly. That's the plan, just to do as many crazy things.
But also together, we think we both love traveling. Everyone loves traveling. So do we.
You'd be surprised, not everybody does.
Meet Divya.
Yeah, some maybe, but mostly, yeah. But yeah, like we like traveling.
Now I'm slowly turning to the other side, but yes, definitely me until last year.
But yeah, like we both love traveling and we really want to do like not exactly how we did in Africa, but something like that we can like keep continuing doing traveling and documenting, storytelling, and also doing like visual storytelling in different ways. So that is also there something that we want to develop more, like do more travels and do something wherever we going, develop something there. So that is there that we do really think of to go in that way as well.
Yeah, travel documentation and travelogues and travel comics and things like that. Really something that excites us.
That would be super exciting.
Maybe Shikhant, but I'm not like the vlogging material, like, hi guys and all this kind of thing, but mostly like documenting is something that is more interesting, like go to a place and be there for some time and understand, just collaborate maybe with their local artist or document something and Shikhant making his art. So that is something that we do look forward to if we could like.
Both of you have such a spirit of the space kind of sense. I don't know how else to put it, but it's like there's so much like we want to engage with the local artists and like, we want to engage with the local culture and eat their food and like, do whatever they are doing right now. Like for a lot of folks, myself included. After some time, I have only so much capacity, and then I'm like, okay, now I need to go back in my bubble, and I need to like pretend like the rich person who doesn't need to deal with the inconveniences of local life. But like, I feel like you guys have a lot of like, I don't know, heart for it. It's really nice.
It's just that we are very useless people in real life, so we find meaning in those other people's lives.
I was thinking you're gonna say something like really self-deprecating or like just generally ha ha ha, that's not a big deal types. Just take a compliment. Take a compliment.
The thing is, like you said, finding your own bubble and all those things, right? When you're traveling for a very long time, you have to create your own bubble in that place. That's something that, for example, when you're traveling for months, right? Of course, there are times when you want to be alone and you want to think and you just want to focus on a certain thought, let's say, and you don't want to be disturbed by other people's conversations or ideas. So then you find your own bubble, you sit in a corner and you block everything, and then you just sit and write or draw or whatever. So that also comes. So it's not that difficult. Right? One can do that.
Interesting. I mean, that's all I did in Vietnam. For 15 days, I was in my own bubble. I was like, one of my friends asked me, oh, so did you make any friends? I was like, I didn't even talk to many people there. Maybe I talked to 3 or 4 people. And she was just like staring at me. What? And I was like, yeah, I was so happy not knowing anybody. Nobody knows my language. I don't need to talk.
But yeah, it is like I'm not a very outward person like Shikhant is. I don't usually like talk to anyone on the street just going like that, or like even hesitate in asking questions. But because Shikhant is that person, it's nice to also like once he start up the conversation, it's nice to jump in that conversation. Like he sort of sets it up. Because I remember
Shivi's piggybacking on me.
Yeah, in those times, yeah.
I thought that is what relationships are for. You just preload on your partner for certain things.
Like I remember like when we traveled recently to Bali, so there was this homestay that we were living in, and the host, he was just showing us the room and everything, and then she started talking to him, okay, what's your name and what do you do and all those things, and then like even I started talking to that guy, and we sat there for like an hour where we just kept bombarding him with questions, and he just kept answering all of it, and he knew English, but like it was quite a bit here and there, but he like explained everything that he could to us, and it turned out that he is a dancer. He knows Bali's traditional dancing style, and he knows it. Throughout the week he does like a government job, and through weekends he does this performance. So, and by chance it was a weekend, so he like told us, I have the tickets, so you can buy the tickets and also come for the show. So we were like, yeah, cool, we don't have any plans for the evening, so we'll come and see your performance. So because like it happens so that like with a lot of like these conversations, like even I'm that person that I don't talk, but with Shikhant, I just jump in.
Shikhant charming your way through life.
Theme music is by Akshay Ramuhali of BTRPT Music, and editing is by Beatnik.